All right. Well, thank you everyone for coming to this webinar here today. We're looking at the latest kind of 5 best strategies marketing process for auto repair shops for this year. We'll be going over at a bit of a higher level on some of the different categories, and then from there, again, some of the more specific strategies that we have, and we will have other webinars on them throughout the year to kind of go even more in depth on them. But that's what we're hoping to give you guys an idea, I guess, a glimpse. If you're not doing these things, then maybe you should strongly consider that. And then, yeah, as you have questions, please leverage the chat and leverage the Q&A, those different areas. As I'll be peeking throughout this because I appreciate the time that you guys have taken out to be here live with me. So I'll make sure all your questions are answered. But if you're watching on the replay, please like and subscribe and throw your comments in that comment section. And yeah, let's get things rolling. So today, the agenda, as you can see, there'd be 5 different topics. First one's going to be building a strong online presence, what that kind of means, how to do that. Second's going to be leveraging Google Ads and different strategies that you may implement there. Doing social media and making sure that you are at bare minimum leveraging it in some shape or form, and then optimizing your website for search engines, and then implementing text message marketing. So those are the kind of the 5 different strategies we'll be chatting about today. And so hopefully you all find those as valuable. At least one strategy that I'm hoping that you can take back and implement, or at least uplift in terms of what you have currently going on, to really kind of up your marketing game this year. So understanding the digital marketing landscape, why do I need to know this? How is the landscape different from marketing my shop versus conventional marketing? So in terms of just general questions about like a general, I guess, information. Did you know nearly all customers search online for local services, and most decide where to go based on what they find there? So typically, again, a lot of people, even if they hear about you word of mouth wise, they're still going to look you up online. They want to see those reviews. Reviews are one of the most genius things added to online. I believe it started with Amazon and their push for reviews of products on there. And then sure enough, then the kind of reviews was caught like wildfire everywhere for everything. And so I think it's a very important to have that presence there, have enough reviews, which we'll be chatting on. And then for auto repair shops, this means your online presence can make or break your ability to attract customers. So we want to ensure that your online visibility is absolutely there, both desktop, mobile. I mean, as you all, I'm sure. Actually, throw one in the chat if you have a smartphone. And if you're looking at the comments, throw one down there if you have a smartphone. It just in general, it doesn't matter. I mean, iPhone, Android, whatever you may use. I just want to see if everyone is using a smartphone or not. So we got some iPhone users. I am as well. Is there any other phone? No, I'm just kidding. If you have a Android, we won't judge you too hard. But I mean, in this day and age, everyone has smartphones, and so everything is just so easy to attain online. It's just so very important for you to be visible there. And so 3 reasons why it's going to matter. 97% of consumers search online for local services. A strong online presence helps customers find you when you need the most, and increased visibility builds trust and credibility. I think that trust and credibility is a huge thing for consumers to eventually pick you. I think that correlates with the reviews. It correlates with not only the reviews, but getting, say, video testimonials of your customers, and being able to see a real life person saying something good about your business is really, really strong and beneficial, and a very easy thing to advertise as well. And so that's always something I strongly recommend for people getting, is just one step further above that review is getting that video. And so 76% of people who search for something nearby on their phone visit a business within the day, which that is a pretty crazy percent that we found, that, yeah, that within that day, if they find you online, they will go and visit you. And so are you making that quick of an impression? In this day and age, everyone is looking for immediate gratification. And so are you able to answer maybe their fears, their hesitancies of maybe going to one shop over the other right away by showing one, yep, social proof. Maybe if they go onto your website, is it sort of answering certain fears that they have in terms of maybe you offer a really amazing warranty, and that's sort of like, oh yeah, that's why a reason why people would want to go there, or you have very low wait times in terms of like you're not a dealership, you're not they're not pushing you out months at a time. You're like, no, we can get you within the day at times. Maybe you have a dedicated bay that you're always leaving open for those people that need to come in very quickly, and make sure you advertise that, because if you're not sharing that, nobody knows. They're just not gonna magically show up to your shop because they thought that was the situation. So you want to make sure that you're sharing that everywhere online as much as possible. And businesses will complete online profiles receive significantly more visitors and engagement. And so online profiles are a range of things, primarily though your Google Business Profile. You want to ensure that all the different areas are filled out appropriately. And so one thing is making sure that you understand the categories that are being chosen for your business. And the primary category should pretty much always be auto repair shop. That should be the selection. And outside of that, there will be secondary categories. In my opinion, you should be picking 10. That's the max that you're allowed. You should be picking all of them. And in terms of the different services and types that you repair there, that you do at your shop. And that way you're maximizing your range of scope for different search terms. And then there's like product listings, service listings, a bunch of other things that you can make sure that you're continuing to layer. There's regular posts that you do in there. Just the more that you're using the profile, the better. But also there's profiles on other platforms like Facebook, Instagram, other elements where, I mean, it's very important to at least have something there. It works as a general citation on the web and builds that social proof, again, that is out there. If you're only in one place, that's really siloing yourself, and it doesn't create as much trust organically with search engines. So you want to ensure that you are listed in as many different places as possible with the right and accurate information. Okay. And so claiming and optimizing your Google Business Profile is a very easy task. I mean, again, people that watch this are in a whole range of situations in terms of where they are. There's multi-shop owners. There's also people that are just getting started. And so these steps right here are mainly for people just getting started. And so if you go to business.google.com, you go to your Google Business Profile, you sign in and make sure that you are the owner of your business listing. Again, you at times I see where people have maybe multiple people owning the listing. Ideally, you only want the actual owners being the owner of the listing, because a manager of the listing can do all the same things in terms of editing, say, hours, editing the categories, but it cannot delete and add users. So an owner can technically delete you out as a user on accident or not. And you don't want to give that ability to someone, because the Google Business Profile is a humongous means in terms of how you're getting call volume, how you're getting found online. And now someone else is owning it. Who knows what can be done? They can move the business location. They can start doing spammy things and making the business profile go down. They can literally close the business. They can just mark it as closed. And so you want to make sure that you are the owner and you are the sole owner on there, unless you're in a partnership or something and there's another individual that, yes, is a true owner of the business, have them on there. But even then, ideally, I would just have one email that is the owner. The rest, if other people need access, just list them as managers. And it's very easy to toggle and switch. And so I would ensure that you do that, again, if you are the owner. Make sure that's the case, because that limits the terms of spamminess of things accidentally done. You know what is truly happening there. Optimization tips: add accurate business information, so hours, phone number, address. This isn't as prevalent right now, but one thing we have seen before is hours during the holidays. People mistakenly just mark their businesses closed, and you do not want to just mark your businesses closed. That definitely hurts in terms of search engine performance, and it has a lag time as well, because now Google's like, oh, they marked the business as closed, it's not there anymore. But then you turn it back on, it takes a little bit to pick up where the rankings were, where you were. So there's a special hours section within the hours for holiday hours, and make sure you list it there that way, and then Google knows that it's a temporary hour closure based on a holiday. Okay, so that's a little tip there in terms of when holidays come. Make sure that is what's getting done. High quality photos of your shop, services, and staff. So photos are becoming more and more prevalent in terms of how Google is reading the images on your Google Business Profile. AI, as you know, is becoming more and more prevalent every day. This fancy new things all the time. But one thing that Google's algorithm is doing is it is analyzing a picture in terms of even like what is there, though maybe if there's words baked onto the picture, it's reading the words on the picture. And so you want to ensure that you are one, not necessarily you don't have to get a professional photographer every single time, but you need to be able to regularly put in photos. And so usually rule of thumb for me, for all shops, is say 5 minutes a week, dedicate someone. It doesn't have to be yourself. It can be, say, the service advisor that or whoever is at the store regularly, just 5 minutes a week where they walk around, snap a few photos of different things. And ideally, you're snapping it of a certain service being performed, or maybe it's a different make or car that's in the store that you want to get that associated with your brand. Different things that way. You want to make sure it are taking place on a regular basis. So again, that's the key. Google loves recency in terms of how often you are using its platform. And so the more often you are using it, the higher likelihood it is that it's going to give you a chance to rank higher. Now, if you use it in an improper way, obviously that has an adverse effect. So you want to make sure you're giving it the right information. But if you're doing so, more often than not, you'll be in a better position. Okay. And so that's where regular with post promotions and updates come into play. So there's a little post section in Google. And again, very rarely do people ever read these posts, but Google does. And so that's where the big thing is you're just giving Google more information that's baked into your Google business profile, which again, to take a step back, which I didn't explain properly, it is your business as it's listed in Google Maps. So as you hover and look for, say, a restaurant, and you click on it, it pops up a little business window with the reviews. That's your Google business profile. It used to be called Google My Business back in the day, but it's been long enough now where it's the GBP as we know it. And then last thing here is respond to customer questions and reviews promptly. So there's a Q&A section along with reviews. Reviews you should all know about, but there are so many shops out there that literally do not respond to any of the reviews. Strongly recommend responding to reviews and not just saying thank you, but like taking it a step further and looking at what they brought in, what they came in for, and throwing those keywords in there. It does not hurt at all to do that because Google is indexing the reviews as well. So again, more data points, the better off that you will be. And the Q&A section, you want to ensure that, I mean, one, you can pre-fill in those questions in terms of like you can put in general questions that your shop typically receives and you can answer them already. But there's also times where customers ask questions on there and like a question will appear. Make sure that those are being answered and not left being unsaid because that doesn't look good to Google if you're not answering people's questions. So make sure that that is a step that you are taking. Okay. So any questions there in terms of the Google business profile before I hop into Google Ads? Hopefully that generally, I think that covered both sides in terms of like intro level of just setting up and claiming, and then some more slightly more advanced tactics in terms of ways to look at the profile and how it's being used. But any questions, anything that people have noticed recently? One thing that I've seen happen before, I guess, as I'm thinking out loud, people have there's been spamming of like your location pin drop being moved. There's times where people can recommend a different location address, and Google will just accept it prematurely. So ensure that like once a week you're checking to make sure that everything looks right. Because again, if enough people are recommending a certain thing, Google is just going to accept it, even if it's a bunch of spammers that are doing something improper. So or maybe your competition. I'm hoping competitors don't do this, but or even if that's taking place. So you want to make sure that you're going through there. Yep, Craig, I need to update some pictures. Absolutely. I mean, I've seen many a times where the last picture uploaded was from like 10 years ago. I'm like, oh boy, probably a lot has changed. Then there's maybe like the shot doesn't even look that way in the inside anymore. There's times where someone acquired a business like 10 years ago and it's still the picture of the old business that's on there with the old signage. So make sure you're changing those things because it's very, very valuable, very important. I know it's one of the hardest things that we deal with our clients in terms of making sure that we are able to get those. But again, the easiest thing for me to do is like, hey, put in a calendar reminder on a certain day at a certain time, a 5-minute block to make sure it's done, and then just have a Google Drive that say, if you yourself are managing your profile, then that's where I would still drop it. But like if a marketing company is managing it for you, make sure they have access to that, and then they're making the updates on your behalf. So that way it's not that extra step that you're having to do because that portion does take time in terms of uploading it and making sure things are in there the right way. But taking the picture, that's one thing that, I mean, us as a marketing company and remote base, like we're not able to go to every single store every single time. And so that's one level of effort that needs to be done. And it is very beneficial in terms of how it affects your ranking. So great point. Craig, I'm glad that you took that out of this so far. All right, so we're gonna jump into Google Ads and kind of how to take advantage of Google Ads. So first and foremost, I hope everyone knows what Google Ads are. So again, I'm assuming that aspect. Google Ads, as we used to know it though, for auto repair, was strictly just the Google AdWords. So that's where you would go in and you would create a campaign, you would attach keywords, you would have ad groups, and so on and so forth within Google Ads. And we could I used to be able to just say that about Google Ads for auto repair because that was the only form of Google Ads that was available to the industry. But there's also now, which I'll talk about here, is local service ads, which is another form of Google Ads that has the Google Guaranteed section next to your business, which again I am a very strong proponent of, just especially just based on the results alone that we're seeing for them and the cost per conversion, because less people are on it right now. And so right now it's the cheapest that conversions will ever be. And so the earlier you are on it, you might as well benefit early on if you're like the only one in your area that is doing it. So, but every day more and more people are starting to sign up. But understanding pay-per-click advertising, pay-per-click is not necessarily only Google, but it is the overwhelming majority of how pay-per-click is going to work. Obviously, there's Bing does something similar in terms of their type of ads. Facebook, in a sense, is not true pay-per-click ads, but it does break down sort of a cost per click and an impression-based sort of ad there. But pay-per-click advertising is going to be a fee based on when someone clicks on the ad. Not that it's a good lead or not. It's just they clicked on the ad. So it could be something that is incorrect and it's not even a viable customer. But if they clicked on your ad, you're getting charged regardless. So, but it's a way of buying calls, and that's where you appear at the very top of Google. Because when you search, there'll be the Google Ads section, and then there'll be the Google Maps section, and then there'll be the organic website section. That's kind of the three different tiers as we know them. And so this enables you to reach a direct audience of potential customers without also relying on waiting for your organic SEO to perform. It kind of hacks the system in terms of appearing straight to the top, but does it get all the clicks? Absolutely not. People like doing research, and also people, in a sense, treat them as commercials, and some people hate them. And so how we break it down is typically around 15 to 20% of the clicks is going to come from the Google Ad section. About 70 to 75% of the clicks come from the Google Map section, and the remainder is going to come from the website organic section, and typically only the top like 1 to 2 websites that are there. Okay. And so 6 keys for evaluation of Google Ad success. I did a really good webinar a couple of weeks ago with my Google Ads manager, along with I was at the Elite conference, and I gave a talk in terms of maximizing your Google Ads, kind of along these lines. So we have a few things out in the ether, diving a lot deeper into it than I will in comparison to today. But these are just things that I want to make sure that you guys are at least pointing out and understanding in terms of Google Ads. First and foremost, ensure that you are getting a positive ROI. And so typically the number one question I get is like, well, how do I know that? Well, are you getting a cost per conversion or cost per lead or cost per acquisition? Those are all like different acronyms of letters that mean the same thing at the end of the day. Is like, how much is it costing for me to get a phone call from Google Ads? And then from there, you should be able to understand like, okay, of those calls that I received from Google Ads, how much did I make? And are you getting a positive ROI there? Because it should be bifurcated from your organic Google and how those calls are coming through. Because again, majority of the calls should be coming from your Google business profile. If majority of your calls are coming from Google Ads, then I'd say your SEO is probably lacking on that end, that you're having to rely so heavily on Google Ads, because that price is only going to keep going up. And so you want to make sure that you're getting a positive ROI there. And then second is, are you spending enough? That always people are wondering, how much should I be spending? And again, yes, it is dependent on how much budget you do have, but say on average of all the hundreds of accounts that we manage, on average it's around $17.50 a month that people are spending on Google Ads. And so usually I always recommend a minimum of 1,000 because that gives you at least good enough data to understand if your campaign is working effectively or not. Usually, like if you're, I've seen campaigns that are like $200, $300 a month. That equates to like less than $10 a day where you're getting clicks. And right now, cost per click is like for a general auto repair shop, is in that $4 to $7 range, sometimes creeping closer to 10. That's literally one, maybe two clicks in the day, and your budget's done. And so, like, how are you supposed to truly tell if Google ads are working or not? You're probably not getting any ROI whatsoever out of those clicks. Maybe you get lucky and you're getting a lead, a true lead. And so just make sure you have one, first you have the budget for it, and then but then you do spend enough on it and give it like a viable chance to work. Because if not, a couple $100, you're more than likely just throwing that straight down the drain. It's really hard to make that work. Okay. And then do your ads resonate with users? And so this is just the content copy that is on the Google ad. I mean, you're able to play with given like within a 30 character limit, like a few different phrases and things to combine together that Google will then leverage and cycle through. Just make sure that those are good things to be written on there that would make someone click on it. Like if it just says auto repair shop, that's pretty generic. But if it's like best of Salt Lake City. And then like that shows again that you're maybe a tier above the rest. But granted, you don't want to just make it up. You want to ensure that that is in fact something that you are, or something unique that you do offer. That's like a same day appointment, same day pickup. Like that'd be very unique. That if you do in fact offer that, that would resonate with users really quickly. Then what is the competition like? And so this is always tricky to be able to determine if you're not running Google ads. You can just see it for yourself if you just search in your area and you kind of see the other businesses that are appearing in the ads. But if you are running it, you can see it from your auction insights and then kind of see what other businesses are running things. And hopefully those other businesses are your actual competitors and you're not just a random bunch of random businesses, because then probably your campaign is built wrong. Um, do your ads on the website instill confidence? So where the ad ends up going to, in my recommendation, should be a landing page. Some people send it to pages on the website though. But wherever it's going to, does it instill confidence in that user? Because a Google ad user is different than a regular user. They didn't do research. And so there's different fears and things that they have there. Are you paying a reasonable amount for calls? And so that making sure that you're understanding what that cost is. The cost per lead range typically for a general auto repair shop, we're seeing in that $40 to $60 range. And then for like a euro-based shop, we're seeing in that $80 to $100 range. Again, the reason why there's a jump up is just there's just less search volume for euro-based based shops or very niche related shops. It's going to be more expensive because again, supply and demand. So, all right. And as we go into local service ads, again, I want to make sure to highlight what it is like they are. And so they look like this in terms of, hey, there's a little Google guaranteed button. When they click on this tile, it goes straight to the Google business profile and then giving you a call. And so so what would appear right below this would be the Google AdWords, what I was just talking about before. But that's what makes this so effective, is that it's appearing at the very top. It has this green check mark that shows a Google guaranteed, which is very unique and kind of like gives an additional piece of social proof, in my opinion, of why it looks that way. But what's also cool about this is that it's not just charged based on if they clicked on this, you get charged. No, it's like it's based on if they call, and if it was a viable call, you're properly getting charged. So again, it's doing almost a deeper analysis of charging you appropriately and giving you appropriate value attachment to your ads. Local service ads have been around for a good long while, but just in other industries, it's a lot newer to auto repair. And so I would say, again, get on it. It takes a little bit of time to get approved. So you can see like there's all these different steps and proof of different things, background check, so on and so forth. You want to make sure that, again, you're starting that process and going through it. Sometimes, again, you get out of luck in terms of like there's a certain license that is required for a certain state, but it was never required of you as a business owner in that given state. And so like Google is trying to figure out what needs to be recommended, but sometimes like it's unfortunate what is required when it's like, yeah, I don't need that as a business owner, so why would I pay for that? But all right, one question: is the process of creating local service ads the same process as regular Google ads? Is the biggest difference the target audience? So good questions there. The process in terms of local service ads, again, it's way stricter in terms of the approval process. Because again, Google is attaching its name to your brand in a sense. And so it needs to make sure that you are a legit business that is kind of doing things the right way. And so that's where the steps take a lot longer to get approved at times, like weeks, rather than like, hey, you can get a Google Ads account running within the day. And so it's very different in that sense. But for Google AdWords, um, again, it's a lot more stringent in terms of like the keywords and the focus there. Whereas local service ads, you're kind of you're almost allowing Google to do a lot more in terms of when you should appear. But again, the fact that they are charging you more appropriately to like a viable lead makes that okay, in my opinion. Yes, there is some time waste of people calling inappropriately, for like say they look at something different and it's not a service that you offer, and they found you based on this, but you didn't get charged for that. So at least that's a big deal, that's not happening. Okay. And then the biggest difference, target audience. So the target audience again is typically based around a radius of where you're trying to create the scope, and then like what services you offer, because that's really the only granularity you're able to give in local service ads. Because Google AdWords, again, you can be very, very specific, exact type of phrases. Local service ads, you're allowing Google to kind of do more of its thing. Okay. So Ella says increase your shots of visibility and target leads. And again, right now we are doing free setups for people for local service ads. And so again, you can be using a different marketing company. That's we at least want people to get set up. And so if you're like, you know what, I want to get set up, that's where feel free to book a meeting with us, and we can at least start the process to help you do that. If you're like, you know what, I would rather not do this by myself. So that is one thing that we are doing in terms of just setting it up. But third, we're going to go into leveraging social media. But any questions, any other questions there on Google Ads, I guess, before I move on to the next section. I just want to make sure that, again, your questions are being answered. I can't see all your amazing, beautiful faces, so I'm not sure if there are questions or confusion on your faces. I hope not, but if there are, I mean, again, please leverage the chat or the Q&A. All right, leveraging social media. So by a yes or no, yes being you post on your social media business profile, I'll say once a week. Can you guys throw the chat for me? Yes, if you post on your business, or like at least someone is posting on your business page once a week on Facebook, or no, if that is just not happening. Okay, yes, we got a couple yeses, 1 to 4 times a week. That's awesome, Daphne. Not currently, but about to start. That's great. We There's no better time to start than now. Yes. So we got a couple yes, a couple more yeses. Okay, good. I mean, there's a good amount of people that are at least leveraging it in some shape or form. And again, one of the hardest things to like be able to share with people is like, how well are my like postings even working on social media? Is it worth the time? And typically what I tell people is it's more of a shotgun blast approach in terms of you just want your brand to be out there as often as possible, because you never know if like they saw you on social media, and then if they then hopped over to like from social media, then they found, then they looked you up on Google, and then when they came to the store, you asked them, how did you find us? They're like, oh, I looked you guys up on Google. But really, like, that initial step might have taken place on social media, and they were just not getting attached the right way. So again, it doesn't cost any extra other than your time to post to it typically. And so that's where I would ensure that that's getting done regularly, especially for those that are like big on creating a better brand imagery in their area. I think it's a humongously valuable way to engage with community, and then like engage with other business owners and what they have going on there. So yeah, that's going to be a huge thing that you want to make sure that you're doing, but also spending time on the right platform. So the go-to ones that we always recommend are Facebook, Instagram. One, because you can post to both at the same time with a post. Granted, some posts work better in one platform over the other, but it does save a whole lot of time to be able to post to one place at the same time. And then YouTube videos, as you all know, work very, very well. it's a lot more engaging with the audience and it keeps it stickier because they stay at one place at one time. Things are moving, but I know that is a lot more work. And in order to make a video, it's already hard enough to get pictures. So making a video is the next step above. But again, if it's something that you are doing, humongously valuable there. A bonus ad would be LinkedIn in terms of primarily though getting fleet accounts would be the way to even leverage LinkedIn in my opinion. It's not too often that you're just getting the everyday customer from LinkedIn and that's how they're going to say that they found you. Again, they might be those rare one-off chances. So that's where though, if you're like, how do I split my time appropriately? This is where I would recommend. And then content that drives engagement. So these are some ideas in terms of we like to work off of themes when we are doing social calendars for the different shops that we manage. And these are some things that we've seen work well. So before and after photos in terms of showcasing a type of repair or transformation that is taking place. So giving them almost a behind the scenes peek of like, hey, yeah, this is a bad break that's on there. And then this is one that we replace it with and how it looks so much better, so on and so forth. Again, it's a little bit trickier with repair to show aesthetics. It's not like you're a body shop and you can show like a dent's there, a dent's gone, or detailing where it's a lot more visual. But still, there are ways that you can play with those. Customer testimonials, absolutely. Um, it is. I know some people get weary about. I don't want to seem too boisterous and too cocky in a sense of look at these testimonials, but again, you got them. People are raving about you. Share them. No one will well, you might as well share them in all the different avenues that, like because maybe they didn't go to Google and read all the reviews and see that one that resonated with them the most. So make sure you're sharing them on your social media platform. It's a very, very easy thing to be able to share. Educational content. So FEMA technicians working on vehicles while sharing maintenance tips or common repairs. That works very well. Again, that's more filming though. So another step above, but we've seen it work very well. Promotion and community engagement. I think this is a huge thing to one, yes, it shows that you're out there within community, but two, you're engaging now with your like some of the other local businesses audience because maybe they're not part of your like ecosystem yet, but now you're partnering with other businesses in the area and you guys are just picking back off of each other's customers and you guys like you're like, hey, yeah, this business has the same sort of values that I do. And so I know how they're going to treat customers are going to be the same that I like the way that I would as well. Again, why not partner in just like the social media sense of like, hey, yeah, like we have a running a promotion together or so on and so forth that way. I think it's a really strong thing. It's a thing that here at Lyft we're going to play with a lot more in this coming year in terms of like gamifying auto repair, but also like working on that with other local businesses and just making it sticky in terms of your business being a pillar in the community. So when that happens, it makes life way easier. So um, question, can the same pictures on my social media be used in my Google Business profile? Absolutely. Those things can be used. It's not like any duplication penalty or anything that will take place there. Two completely different platforms, and so you want to make sure that it is on both places. Honestly, it's a good question there. Behind the scenes, show your team in action, celebrating, having fun, highlighting employees, things like that. Just shows that you're real, genuine company, not just a rigid place that you don't want to only post about promotions all the time. That's that ideally will just seem salesy. No one's going to engage with that content. Okay. All right, and then running ads for social media. So the best ad types for auto repair shops, you have local awareness ads, so targeting people in your immediate area. So creating as tight a radius as possible, in my opinion, of the ad. So that way it's just blasting out to people locally that have a much higher chance of showing up to your shop. Service promotions, so highlighting specific services. For example, a discounted oil change, since that's something that everyone needs. I know some people feel worried in terms of the discounted oil change and the type of people that it brings in. But at the same time, like everyone needs an oil change, and it's just a good friendly reminder. And if your promotion ends up hitting them when it does in the right time, that could be a really strong customer that stays for a long time. It's kind of about like if you're doing the right work in-house, then the rest kind of takes care of itself. So, and then retargeting ads, reaching people who visited your website but didn't book, and so that way it's just kind of cycling through. I know I'm sure you've all seen it before. If you like, you visit a product that you're potentially going to buy, and you're like, maybe I won't buy that right now, and you leave it, and you go to social media, you're scrolling through social media, and then boom, that ad appears for that exact business. That's a retargeting ad, and it's just finding you because of it's seeing that you were tagged, like your IP address viewed the website, then went to social, and it's attaching it that way. So. And the key tips for success: use clear, eye-catching visuals. And that's the like, yes, you want to have, this is where for ads, you want to have a very clear cut photo. That's where professional, I think, makes a difference there when you're using ads. But again, I mean, smartphones these days are so like the pictures of quality that they do is very good. So I mean, you can easily get away with it with that as well. And then include strong call to actions in terms of booking now or book an appointment or call now, free estimate if you do that, something along those lines. That's like, and making them take an action. That's going to be the biggest thing that you want to do. Okay. And this is just, again, friendly reminder, showcasing real photos of your shop and technicians. Customers will feel a sense of comfort and familiarity. So they know what they're getting into. If you're using just a bunch of stock photos, again, that seems fake. They've probably seen those photos a bunch of other times. And so you want to make sure that you're using real photos as often as possible. Okay. So we're going to dive into the fourth thing here, optimizing your website for search engines. And so SEO again is this search engine optimization. And I know at times it's kind of that dark voodoo of like, oh, how does it work? And is it working? And why do I even need to bother? Hopefully, as I've explained through this journey of marketing, I mean, the higher and more often you appear, the better position you are. In this day and age, everyone wants immediate gratification. That means that they are going to do less and less research in terms of where they need to go. It's like, are you appearing at the top or are you not? Or were you appearing when they happen to scroll? And people tend to not scroll very far. And so if you're not in that top three in the maps, if you don't have an ad up there, if you don't have your website ranking very well, there's a strong chance that you are not being chosen. And so if you're still growing as a business outside of these things when you check it, more than likely then you are either, again, you're spending a good amount on AdWords, or you just have really strong word of mouth, and that's the way that you are growing, which is, again, word of mouth is an amazing marketing ability, but I would rather, again, diversify all marketing channels. You don't want only one kind of fishing line out there, and that's the only way that you're getting it. Because when that runs out, then what? Then you didn't have any other ability to pivot and adjust. So you want to make sure that you're, again, diversifying your different marketing channels, and SEO is one of the best ways because you get a lot of traffic organically. Like I mentioned, that's 70 to 75% from the maps, and then like that, I know, menial amount, maybe 5% that comes from the websites that are in the top, but that's still an overwhelming amount of the traffic compared to ads, and it doesn't cost you any extra. So, why it matters, I think I already talked about that: increases visibility, organic free traffic, and then builds trust. So those are going to be the big things. Got a question: how do I get the photo of our shop to show on Google Maps? Some businesses have photos versus pins. So there are in the photo section, there are almost different categories as well that you can have for the business. My recommendation, though, like because of Google's algorithm and AI, it's starting to just rotate through pictures of what it deems to be the best in their opinion. And so what I try to tell people is just like, the more photos you post, the greater a chance it is that the imagery is going to be effective to like what Google is appearing there. Because if you only have 5 photos to work with, it's probably going to be the one that's been there for ages, and that it's going to stay there. It's not going to cycle through anything. And maybe at times it's the timing of when the Google car drove by, and it's the street view, and like sometimes it just literally shows grass. Like if someone's in a pretty rural area, it just shows like grass, and like because the business was on the other side of the road. And so like that's where you want to make sure that you are providing Google that information, and then that will naturally start helping it appear there. So hopefully that like, I know that didn't answer your question exactly, because again, it's just based on what Google is doing right now, but my my best recommendation is just to ensure that you are providing Google with the photos that you want it to give it the best chance of appearing. And then more often than not, those are the ones that are going to appear naturally. Okay. And so did you know that most auto searches include a location? And so in terms of this, typically always in an attachment to the phrase. So yes, there are a good amount of search volume in terms of just like auto repair or mechanic and just a general word, but also people tend to also put like near me or oil change in so and so city that you're based in. And so you want to make sure that when you're doing SEO and you're in your keywords, some people are always like, well, why do I need to put the city name like throughout the page? It's just a data repository for Google. And so you want to ensure that Google has absolutely no confusion in terms of what areas that you are serving. And so near me is a bit trickier because that's very, very location dependent upon where someone is when they search I'll say auto repair near me. So doing SEO for it is again a lot trickier to make that impact because it's so dependent on where someone is. But for oil change and city name or brake repair and city name, like that's a lot easier to make an SEO attachment to and making sure that you have those things built out. Um, Craig put, what about pictures that were posted by customers? Again, that there's it's something that you can really do when customers are posting photos, but at the same time, those work really well if they are like well done in terms of especially if they have like a really good comment associated with the photo because it's not you yourself advertising yourself anymore, it's someone else. And so those pictures again are very beneficial. It's a lot harder for an auto repair shop to get pictures from their customers versus say like a restaurant because people can easily take a picture of food and then upload it with like to the business or take a picture of the menu, something along those lines. But yeah, this when those do happen, there's typically nothing you can do unless it's inappropriate. Then you can flag them, and then Google will take those down. Okay. And then how to use keywords effectively includes city and neighborhood names in key places. Neighborhood, not as much because people don't tend to type in their neighborhoods unless you have a very, very prevalent neighborhood where you're at, then absolutely throw that in. But primarily the city name is going to cover what you need to. And then write blog posts about relevant local events or car maintenance tips and just, again, optimizing your Google Business Profile with the right keywords at the end of the day. And then a big one is just making sure your website is mobile friendly. It's one thing to check it on the desktop, but majority of searches come from your phone. And so you want to ensure that what your website looks like on your phone is easy to use, easy to navigate. Your like the phone number is tap friendly. That's one thing that drives me crazy when I run into websites like that where the number you can't just tap on it and it won't just dial. Like you have to like scroll out of it and try to dial and go back and forth between the screens. It's like that's super annoying. And if it's annoying, it's not convenient for someone and they're gonna leave and go to some like look at someplace else. So you want to ensure that it's mobile optimized in that sense. It flows well, it loads well along those lines. Because again, people are getting more and more impatient. If they don't get what they need right then, they may not give you a call to begin with. Okay. And then key mobile friendly features, responsive to design that adapts to any screen. So you want to make sure that's happening. Fast loading speed, again, that impatience factor. So you want it loading real fast, and then easy navigation with clear buttons. So you want to make sure that maneuverability, that user experience is really really friendly, really streamlined, and they're getting everything that they need out of it. All right. So must-have website features. So online booking, whether if you have online booking of appointments that links straight to your shop management software, or at bare minimum having a form that they can fill out. You definitely want to have that ability to receive that information because not everyone is comfortable with calling people all the time. Some people are pretty introverted and they don't like calling. And so they're used to texting and things like that. And so also, if you have a texting ability, you want to make sure that that's available or a live chat here to ensure that people are getting their questions answered without having to call you. Because again, you want to be convenient for all types of customers. You don't want to be like, oh, if they're not calling me, then I'm not going to work with them. Like they're probably not going to be my type of customer. Maybe they just don't have time to sit on the phone. They're just like, I can shoot a quick text and get an answer eventually when it comes back in. So just making sure that you again are being convenient for customers, I think is a huge, it's not like you're just compromising all your values or anything like that. But if you're making an effort to meet a customer where they want to be, and I think that goes a long way. And they're way more likely to spend with you and become a long-term customer. Um, FAQs, so like along with FAQs in the Google Business Profile, if you have them on the website, I would have a section that answers those, and just to save the user time. And then clear calls to action again, making sure that there are buttons and numbers and things everywhere, even regardless of when you're scrolling. You want to make sure that header is like locked in, or there's always ways, regardless of where they are on the website, that they're able to call you or do what you want them to do. All right. So last but not least, we have text message marketing. Um, but before we jump into that, we had a question: how can we leverage AI in our marketing? So that's a great question in terms of AI and its prevalence. I mean, I think everyone needs to first and foremost learn how to use it and how it's effective. So usually how I relate AI the most right now is obviously things like ChatGPT, where you're able to kind of ask a question, it gives back other like certain answers or prompts, just depending on how you're teaching it. Ways that you can use it currently is, say, for maybe social media posts. So social media posts aren't necessarily indexed with Google, and so that's where it's a little bit safer to be able to just do the copy and paste method. I typically always try, like, recommend not ever just like whatever is like prompted out to use that verbatim. Like edit it a little bit to make it feel like a natural user, but it gets you a good portion of the way there in terms of ideas. So one way is like, hey, I'm trying to post on my social media 3 times a week, and this is my type of business. What is a template of how I would post that throughout the month? And then boom, you'll quickly get an answer, and you'll see like, oh, those are some good ideas. And maybe you're like, hey, can you redo half of these ideas? And because they are not really what I'm looking for, I'm looking for this. Then it'll switch you out some new things. And so there's really good ways there to like really streamline that process, so that way you're not having to think of ideas from scratch all the time when it comes to social media. When it comes to, say, even promotions, if you're like, hey, what is a type of promotion this time of year that would be effective for an auto repair shop? And then boom, it'll spit out a bunch of ideas for you. So I think it's a really great idea generator in my opinion. But if you're like, hey, I need to write a blog, and you're just gonna like, I want 500 words about brake repair, and then it just spits that out for you, and you just copy and paste. That's a horrific idea in my opinion, and I would strongly recommend not doing that. You would then take that idea, that sort of template, and then reconfigure it into kind of your own words. Is Then that will have a much higher likelihood of it working well SEO wise for Google. So hopefully that answers your question, Craig, in terms of some ideas of how to leverage AI. I mean, we also did an AI webinar a few months ago, and so you can feel free to check that out on our channel as well, if you're looking for other ideas outside of this. Okay. All right. I don't see any other questions, so I'm gonna keep moving in terms of our last topic in terms of implementing text message marketing strategies. So one, why SMS marketing works. So open rates, or in terms of, did someone read the message? So text messages have a 98% open rate comparative to email at, on average, 20 to 30%. Yes, there are some good email campaigns out there that can peak over that 50% mark, but you're not getting anywhere near 98% of an open rate with email. And then in terms of speed, messages are delivered instantly and often read within 3 minutes. And so that again is a tremendous feedback loop in terms of I keep talking about that immediate gratification that people are looking for. And so doing text, and everyone's so familiar with text these days, it's a really powerful tool to be able to leverage. And the customer preference, many customers prefer text for updates and reminders already. And so again, if you're not doing that, they could like forget an appointment, or they if you're not following up with them, they're not going to go out of their way to leave a review. And so you want to make sure those little things are being done. And then SMS campaigns can yield significant return on investment. So in terms of, hey, you're doing a monthly promo and you're blasting it out to certain individuals, that works way stronger than if you were, say, to post that on social media, that same thing, or you were to throw that out on the email blast to your customers. You'll see the highest yield when it comes to your text campaigns. Okay. And so how it can be used, the different ones here in terms of appointment reminders, service reminders, and so like deferred work, or hey, it's been 6 months since your oil change. Just shoot a reminder that way. Promotion and discounts, like we talked about, service updates, notifying them when their vehicle is ready, following up for Google reviews, that's going to be a huge one. And in terms of overall reputation management, and determining if your service level is good to the customers. And so those are things like, for example, within our CRM that we do for texting, like we take care and manage it for a lot of the shops. So we're doing a lot of this texting because I mean I know it gets stressful to text people back like instantly because obviously people are looking for that immediate response. And so it's like it's not ideal that if say your service advisor is staring at the computer all day long. And so that's where I think it's a really helpful thing that in terms of like having other people take care of that for you. And that's a different thing that we do there. But regardless, you want some of these things getting taken care of across the board, automated within text messages, because again, they're being read. And when they're being read, you're getting remembered. And so you want to make sure that those things are being done. And then staying compliant. So obviously there's a lot of rules when it comes to text messaging. That is not there for emails, for example. Because like I'm sure a lot of you get tons of email spam that goes through through your inbox, and that's why a lot of emails don't get read anymore. But there isn't really a lot of rules on that. But for text messages, you want to make sure there's some sort of opt-in that took place that said that they're totally fine with receiving these messages. You have clear messaging that is happening. Frequency is one of the biggest things that I see people mess up with in terms of how many times they are texting people per month. And again, this 2 to 4 is including like the follow up and the back and forth. But if you're doing, say, like a promotion, like do not send more than one, and ideally like give breaks, like send it in batches to certain individuals and customers. Like not every customer should get a monthly promo text every single month. That typically is not going to work very well. You want to do it in different phases, and maybe like it ends up being every other that one particular individual would then see it, and also depend on how often they come in, so on and so forth. There, you want to create clear opt-out options where, like, for example, the text stop to unsubscribe, that's there. Because again, legally, you don't want to get stuck in a bind if you're not doing things the right way. So, those are important things just to think about in terms of texting. It's not just the wild, wild west where you can just text anything, even though I'm sure during certain times of year, like you all receive these spam like texts and you didn't say yes to receiving them. But again, I would rather share this out of being compliant than not. So five next steps to take today. So claim and optimize your Google Business Profile. So take a look at those today and make sure that again all the steps and things are filled out. Ensure your website is mobile friendly. So just again open up your phone, open up your website. Is it maneuvering the right way that you'd expect it to? Is it friendly to you as a user to like, yeah, it does all the things that I want someone to do. Actively collect and manage online reviews. So take a look at your Google reviews of say within the last couple of months and make sure they're at least all responded to. Because again, you don't want to leave anything left unresponded. Use text message marketing for high value messages like reminders, promotions. So just make sure that you have something. It doesn't have to be what we offer. It can be, there's a lot of good CRMs out there. So make sure you're using something because that's going to definitely help your business. And then take real organic photos and videos of your shop on your phone. So commit to that, lock that into your calendar. And that would be, again, these 5 things. So I think will make a huge impact today. And then you can keep leveling up from there. So any last bit of questions that I can help answer while you all are here? I want to make sure I take a little bit of time here to answer them. Great web. Thank you for letting me know that was a great webinar. Again, hopefully this is effective and valuable for people. I mean, we try to do this once a month and making sure that we are sharing prevalent things just constantly, because obviously marketing is ever changing. There's different ideas, different things that work, different things that don't. Some of them, yes, some ideas are as old as time, and thus we talk about them pretty regularly each year. And so, but again, we try to put different styles to each and everything that we're shooting out there. But in terms of just like things, if you're like, you know what, I learned a lot today, but there's not, I can't do that all on my own, or I don't want to do it all on my own. We do take care of a lot of those things for a lot of different shops across the nation. And we do free strategy sessions. So we analyze what you have going on, like those things of your to-dos and noticing like, yeah, you're not doing certain things and you should implement this, or your rankings aren't as effective. These are certain things I would consider. And again, we break that all down for you in an analysis in usually a pretty intensive meeting. So we do a lot of research ahead of time before we meet with you, so that way you know what in the world is going on. But if you want to book a meeting with us, you can check us out at our website. You can give us a call, really, or you can just scan this QR code that you've been seeing throughout this webinar, and this will go straight to booking a strategy session with us. And so hopefully that can work. All right, question: are you a Facebook master? I've got an issue that I can't get any resolution with Facebook. I mean, master is a strong word, so I don't know if I would be considered a Facebook master. But I mean, we have fixed a lot of issues before, but typically though, we end up having to work with Facebook support for them. Thankfully, we have a lot of accounts, so I don't know if because of that, we might get maybe just slightly higher support priority. Granted, Facebook support is one of the hardest things to deal with on the face of the earth. But I guess what is your issue, or if it's too long to type out here, then you can shoot us an email or shoot me a Facebook message, and I'm happy to chat with you about what that is and the kind of best next steps to handle that if you're not comfortable with just throwing it in the chat here. Okay, you're messing me. Perfect. So, but yeah, that's our free strategy session. We have a free marketing checklist. This can also be found on our website. Or if you go to go.liftautorepairmarketing.com/marketing checklist. I know that is a lot of letters, and to have to type into a URL that can risk mistakes, so I apologize. But again, it's very easy to find on our website as well. And then, if you're not already on it, we have a free Facebook group. Again, where people are sharing different marketing ideas. Different business owners are maybe sharing a problem, or they're sharing different things that are going well. And it's just a really good environment to kind of, you're gonna get involved with other shop owners. Maybe again, you're dealing with a certain issue and you're like, I need this solved. There's a lot of people out there that can definitely help. And so again, free group, just type in auto repair owner mastermind in Facebook, and you should be able to find this group, no problem. And then last but not least, my wife and I, we wrote a book, Drive More Business. It is right here on the shelf. You can find that on Amazon, and just step-by-step guide walking you through different aspects of marketing for your shop. It's probably a couple years old now, so probably pretty soon we'll probably write a new one with all the latest and updates that are in the marketing world. But that is everything that I have for you all today. I appreciate all of you joining me. And for those that are watching on the replay, thank you so much. Please like and subscribe to us on YouTube. Again, we put all these replays on there. We do the regular podcast that I do. There's other different things, different reels and things that we'll throw on there. So make sure to check those out. And again, hopefully just comment, like them. That just helps it create better engagement and making sure that we're presenting the best material out there for the industry. But again, thank you all so much for being here today. I'm Kelsey Alstrom with Lift Auto Repair Marketing, and we'll talk again soon.